Good morning guys and welcome to my channel Mind Your Math. Today we are going to do the second part of the chapter quadratic equations. We already did the first chapter where the basics of quadratic equations was introduced to you. So we learned how to identify and compare it with ax square plus bx plus c, etc, etc. Now we are going to learn how to find the solutions of a quadratic equation or the roots of a quadratic equation by means of factorization. Now this particular concept we have already done. Where did we do it? We did it in the second chapter when we were doing polynomials. So whenever we had a quadratic polynomial, let us say x square minus 5x plus 6, and you were asked to find the zeros of the polynomial, what did you do? You equated this to 0, then you factorized it, and you equated each of the factors to 0. So x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 2. So what is a quadratic equation? It is a quadratic polynomial equated to 0, which is basically this, correct? So since we have already done the factorization of a quadratic equation, all we need to do is practice small sums based on this concept. Now, if you like my video, if you find it useful, please like it and also do subscribe to my channel. Now, if you are having any doubt regarding the contents of this video, you can drop a comment or you can mail me the mail ID given below in the description box. Now, let us start doing the sums. Let us start with these 5 sums. It has been taken from the NCERT textbook. So, let us start with your textbook sums. The first one is 6x square minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now, factorization basically means we need to split this quadratic equation into factors. Now, the factors of a quadratic equation has got to be linear, correct? So, we need to split this particular quadratic equation into 2 linear factors. Now, our task is to identify the correct linear factors. How do we go about it? We find 2 numbers. This is our equation. We find 2 numbers in such a way that the sum is a minus 1 and the product is the product of the coefficient of x square and the constant factor. If the coefficient of x square is 1, you take only the constant factor, right? So you get 6 into minus 2 is minus 12. Okay. So we need to find 2 numbers that will give you a product of minus 12 and a sum of minus 1. So let me break down minus 12 into its component factors and see which pair will give me minus 1 as a sum. So minus 12, I can write it as minus 12 and 1. I can also write it as 12 and minus 1. Okay. Now 6 minus 2, minus 6 and 2. I can write it as 4 and minus 3 and minus 4 and 3. Now, which pair added together will give me minus 1? You can see that minus 4 and 3 when added together will give me minus 1. So, I have identified the pair of numbers. Now, how do I write it? 6x square minus 4 and minus 3 I write as minus 4x and plus 3x. Okay, and minus 2 is equal to 0. Now, we start grouping the terms. So, we group the terms in such a way that whatever common factor is there or the HCF or the GCD, greatest common factor is there, you take it outside. So, 6x square and 4x, I know that there is a common factor of 2x. Now, here I have got 3x and here I have got 2. Correct. Now, between 3x and 2, I do not have any common factor. So, I am going to leave it there and write 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now, what do you see? 3x minus 2 is suddenly common in 2 terms, which is this term and this term. So, let's take it outside. You get 3x minus 2 and the remaining is 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. The product of 2 terms is equal to 0. So, 3x minus 2 is equal to 0 or 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Thus giving us x is equal to 2 by 3 and x is equal to minus 1 by 2. Now we have got the solution of the first quadratic equation as x is equal to 2 by 3 and x is equal to minus 1 by 2. The second one, 2x square plus x minus 6 is equal to 0. The sum is a plus 1 and the product is minus 6 into 2, which is a minus 12. So we have already listed down the factors of minus 12 in the previous sum. So from that we already know that the pair of factors that give you a sum of plus 1 is 4 and minus 3. Okay, so when you're doing for the first time, you have to definitely break down 12 into its component number and then find out the pair. Okay, so now how do you write it? 2x square plus 4x minus 3x minus 6 is equal to 0. So x I have represented as 4x minus 3x. Take out the common factor. From the first two, you will get 2x as a common factor. So you will get x plus 2. Correct. From here, if you take out a 3, again you will get x plus 2 as the factor. You can see x plus 2 is common. So x plus 2 into 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. Thus giving us x is equal to minus 2 or x is equal to 3 by 2. Easy, right? Now we have the third one. Root 2 x square plus 7x plus 5 root 2 is equal to 0. Sum is identified as a plus 7 and the product is identified as 5 root 2 into root 2, which is a 10. I need to break it down into factors. So break it down into its component number factors. So 5 and 2, minus 5 and minus 2, 10 and 1 and minus 10 and minus 1. Okay, so what will give me a sum of 7? This one. Now let us split 7x as 5x and 2x and see what are the factors that we are getting. I have split 7x as 5x and 2x over here and I have taken out the common factor of x from the first two terms and root 2 from the last two terms. And I have grouped them in order to get x is equal to minus 5 by root 2 and x is equal to minus root 2. Look at the next sum. 2x square minus x plus 1 by 8 is equal to 0. The sum is identified as a minus 1 and the product as a product of 2 and 1 by 8, which is a 2 by 8. I have listed down the factors of 2 by 8. 2 by 8 and 1 minus 2 by 8 and minus 1. Minus 1 by 8 and minus 2 when multiplied together will give me 2 by 8. Here I have got 1 by 8 and 2. Okay, I need to consider the negative as well as the positive sign. I have got 2 by 4 and 1 by 2, which will give me 2 by 8. And I have got minus 2 by 4 and minus 1 by 2. Now I need to see which are the two numbers when I am adding together will give me a minus 1. So let us see what those numbers are. See, I can safely eliminate all the positive numbers. This and this. They will not give me minus 1. Minus 2 by 8 and minus 1 is definitely not going to give me minus 1. Even this is also not going to give me minus 1. Now the only one that is left is this. So what is minus 2 by 4 plus minus 1 by 2? You can see that minus 2 by 4 is actually minus 1 by 2. So you will get minus 1 by 2 plus minus 1 by 2, which is a minus 1. So this is the pair of numbers that I need to use. Now I am going to split minus x in terms of minus 2 by 4x and minus 1 by 2x. Here I have split minus x as minus 2 by 4x and minus 1 by 2x. I have taken the common factor outside. From the first two terms, I have taken a 2x outside. From the last two, I have taken a minus 1 by 2 outside, thus giving me 2x minus 1 by 2 and x minus 1 by 4 equal to 0. I will get both the factors as equal to 1 by 2. So this is a case of quadratic equation where I have two roots, but both the roots are equal. Now can you remember the graph? At this point, both the roots are equal. So this is a graph of the quadratic polynomial and this point represents the quadratic equation where the solution is given by x is equal to 1 by 4 and x is equal to 1 by 4. Let's have a look at the fifth one. 100x square minus 20x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now the sum is a minus 20 and the product is 100 into 100. This was very easy, so I did not even break it down into factors. This is given by minus 10 and minus 10 and the sum is given as minus 20. Now I have split minus 20 as minus 10x minus 10x. I have grouped and I am getting the value of x as 1 by 10 and 1 by 10. Okay, so I hope you are clear with how to factorize a quadratic equation. We have done all the 5 sums given in the NCERT book. Now let us move on to few more sums that are a little more complicated. I have written 3 sums on the board. I want you guys to try it out on your own and see if you are getting the correct answer. So meanwhile, let me sort out the sums one by one. First sum is x square plus 2 root x minus 6 is equal to 0. So you can see that the sum I need is a 2 root 2. Okay. And the product that I need is a minus 6 because here is a 1 over there. So the product has to be minus 6 into 1, which is a minus 6. Now let me write down the factors. Before I write down the factors, let me tell you one thing. Writing down the factors in this case of minus 6 is going to be slightly more trickier than what we wrote before. Let me explain why. As I told you, the sum is a 2 root 2 and the product is a minus 6. Why are we identifying the sum and the product? Because we need to find numbers. So I need to find a pair of numbers that will give me a product of minus 6 and a sum of 2 root 2. Now a sum of 2 root 2 will happen only if the factors of minus 6 also has got that root 2 term in it. At least one of the factors should have a root 2 term in it. Keeping that in mind, I need to include root 2 also as a factor of 6 or minus 6 in this case. Now let me write down the factors. So minus 6 can be written as minus 6 and 1. It can be written as 1 and minus 6. So this is one combination. Now, here I can write it as 3 and minus 2 and minus 2 and 3. Fine. Now, let us see among these factors what will give me a sum of 2 root 2. So, this particular pairs of factors disappear because there is no root 2 in any of the factors at all. So, that is not our factors of consideration. Let us see this. Root 2 plus minus 3 root 2 will give me minus 2 root 2. We need a plus 2 root 2. So 3 root 2 plus minus root 2 will give me a 2 root 2. Now let us split this particular term in terms of this. Okay. So what will we get? We will get x square minus root 2x plus 3 root 2x minus 6 is equal to 0. X into x minus root 2. I am taking x as a common factor from here plus, so 3 root 2 is a common factor, so I am taking it out. So what do you get? X minus root 2 is equal to 0. From this and this I am taking 3 root 2 out as a common factor. So here you can see x minus root 2 is common. So x minus root 2 into x plus 3 root 2 is equal to a 0. Thus giving us x is equal to root 2 or x is equal to minus 3 root 2. In the second sum, we have to find two numbers in such a way the sum is equal to 10 and the product is 7 root 3 into root 3, which is a 21. This was very easy, so I am not explaining how we have gotten the two numbers. 7 and 3 are the numbers giving us a product of 21 and a sum of plus 10. So I have split the middle term using 3x and 7x and grouped the common terms. I am getting the solution as x is equal to minus 7 by root 3 and x is equal to minus root 3. Now let us move on to the third one. In the third one, the direct quadratic equation is not given to us. We need to form the quadratic equation first and then solve it by factorization. So the third question I have written as solve for x. Also write down the values that x cannot have. So till now we were not particularly bothered about if x can have all the values, x cannot have any values, because there was no denominator term containing x. But look at this particular equation. We have not yet transformed it into a quadratic equation. It will eventually transform into a quadratic equation once we take the LCM. But in this particular equation, which are the values that x cannot have? If x is equal to 2, the denominator becomes a 0. So x in no way can be 2. If x is equal to 1, the denominator will be 0. X cannot be 1. Also x cannot be 0. 0, 1 and 2 are three values which are definitely not possible for x. Okay, because any of these values if you put over here, the denominator becomes a 0. So that particular operation is not possible for us. So now let us transform this particular equation into a quadratic equation and solve for x by factorization. The first step is to take the LCM of all the terms in the denominator in the LHS as well as in the RHS. So you can see that the LCM is x into x minus 1 into x minus 2. Now using that LCM, multiply each and every single term in the equation. So this is our first term, this is our second term, and this is the term on the RHS. Multiply each term with this LCM. So now let us see what we are getting. So here you can see that I have multiplied with the LCM, the first term, the second term and the RHS term. Now cancel out whatever is possible. So you will be x minus 2 and x minus 2 will get cancelled, giving us x into x minus 1. Here you will get x into x minus 2 into 2. Here you will get x minus 1 into x minus 2 into 6. Okay, now let us open the bracket by normal binomial multiplication and see what we are getting after transposing all the terms to the LHS. Here you can see that I have opened the bracket using multiplication and I have transposed all the terms to the LHS. So 6 into x square minus 6x square minus 18x became a plus 18x and plus 12 became a minus 12. Now I am going to simplify the equation. So x square plus 2x square is a 3x square minus 6x square is a minus 3x square. I get a 13x from minus x minus 4x and 18x and a minus 12. Now since the coefficient of a is a minus 3, I mean whenever there is a minus sign in the coefficient of x square, I feel kind of weird. So I try to take out minus 1 and write it like this. Okay. Now you people are free to continue with this particular equation and solve for x. You will get the same answer. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me retain this equation in the same way and get the answer for x, and I will take a minus 1, rewrite the equation and get the answer for x. You can see that finally both the answers will be the same. See, here I have not taking out the minus 1 outside, or I am not going to change the sign by multiplying with a minus 1 or taking out a minus 1, whatever. I am going to retain the original equation as such. I get a sum is plus 13 and the product is minus 3 into minus 12 is a plus 36. I easily figured out the numbers are 9 and 4. I am splitting up the terms like this. I am taking the common factors. Then I realize x minus 3 is common. I take it out. I get minus 3x plus 4. So these two are product is equal to 0. I equate each of them to 0. I am getting 4 by 3 and x is equal to 3. Okay. In the second case, minus 1 I have taken outside and this is my equation. Okay, sum is a minus 13 instead of a plus 13, but the product is a 36. So here I get the numbers as minus 9 and minus 4. Not to worry at all. Follow the method, split up the middle term using those numbers, take out the common factor. You can see that there is a change in the factor. Here it is 3x minus 4, here it is minus 3x plus 4. Okay, no problem. When you equate, you will finally get the same answer. The solution will not change, but there might be a slight change in the factors. So you can follow whichever method you are comfortable with. So don't change the equation, stick to whatever you are getting as the original one and find the solution.